But our big story is coming in from Tel Aviv, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi landed a short while ago and created a slice of history by becoming the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel on an official visit. Mr. Modi was accorded great honor, with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself receiving the Prime Minister at the airport. This is the third time this has happened. Donald Trump and the Pope were the only two other leaders to get such a welcome. The two leaders welcomed each other as old friends and showered each other with praise and claimed they intended to take the India-Israel partnership to new heights. Listen in to what the two leaders had to say.
My friend Prime Minister Narendra Modi, welcome to Israel. Aapka suhagat hai, mere dost. Prime Minister, we've been waiting for you a long time. We've been waiting almost 70 years, in fact, because yours is truly a historic visit. It's the first time an Indian Prime Minister is visiting Israel. We receive you with open arms. We love India. Prime Minister, when I first met you at the United Nations 3 years ago, we agreed to break down the remaining walls between India and Israel. We shook each other's hands, and we agreed to forge a historic partnership for Pargas. You said that when it comes to India-Israel relations, the sky is the limit. On this visit, your Make in India initiative meets my Make with India policy. We're setting up a $40 million innovation fund as the seed for even greater cooperation on technology between us. Our partnership extends to water, agriculture, security, energy, many other fields. I believe the formula for success is simple. It's I square, T square. That equals Indian talent times Israeli technology. It equals Israel-India's ties for tomorrow. I square, T square. Prime Minister Modi, you're a great leader of India and a great world leader. Your visit to Israel is a testament to that.
I want to thank my friend, Prime Minister Netanyahu, for the invitation and for receiving me with so much warmth. My visit celebrates the strength of centuries-old links between our societies. Based on these bonds of our partnership has maintained a strong and sustained upswing since the establishment of full relationship, diplomatic relations 25 years ago. Exactly 41 years since Operation Entebbe, the day when your Prime Minister and my friend Bibi lost his elder brother Yoni while saving the lives of so many Israel hostages. India counts Israel amongst its important partners. The need to rely on science, technology, innovation, and higher technical education to overcome our developmental challenges to common to both of us, alongside building a partnership for shared economic prosperity. We are also cooperating to secure our societies against common threats such as terrorism. A progressive partnership in all these areas would shape the scope of my conversation with Prime Minister, my friend Netanyahu.
So warm words being exchanged by the Indian and Israeli Prime Ministers. Now, India recognized Israel, remember, way back in 1950, but yet the two countries didn't have full-blown diplomatic ties till 1992. Prime Minister Modi's Israel visit, in a sense, is the culmination of a process that was set off by former Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, who was the first to establish diplomatic ties with Israel. Let's take a look at just how India and Israel have transformed their relationship over the last 70 years.
A few decades back, it would have been impossible to see an Indian Prime Minister breaking bread with Israeli leadership. Its commitment to the cause of Palestine looked irrevocable.
What a great day, historic day. Welcome, my friend.
The beer hug was reserved for Yasser Arafat, the Palestinian leader despised by Israel. But the differences between India and Israel had more to do with ideology. India, itself a victim of imperialism, had opposed Palestine's partition in 1947. When the deed was done, Nehru government recognized the state of Israel, but did not establish full diplomatic ties. India, then a young nation, pursued the non-allied movement. Among the torchbearers of the movement was Gamal Abdel Nasser, the president of Egypt and a rival of Israel. The Six-Day War in 1967, which saw Israel seize control of the Gaza Strip, the West Bank and Eastern Jerusalem, reduced thousands of Palestinians to refugees. The gulf between India and Israel widened. India had other reasons as well to keep distance. Its centuries-old trade links with Arab nations and the presence of thousands of Indian expats who gained employment in the Middle East after the oil boom. India crossed the Rubicon in 1992 when P.V. Narasimha Rao established diplomatic ties with Israel. Since then, many Indian delegations have visited Israel, including its president. But Narendra Modi is the first Prime Minister to do so, visiting Tel Aviv in the 50th anniversary year of the Six-Day War famously won by Israel against Arab nations. Is it a sign that Palestine is no longer India's cause? Bureau Report, India Today.
So how much has the world and Indian politics changed in the last 70 years that today an Indian Prime Minister seems to be de-hyphenating ties with Israel and Palestine? That's the first question I want to raise today on what many are billing as a historic day for India-Israel ties. Are India and Israel really natural allies? Do their interests now completely converge? Is Israel India's ally in its war on terror, its best ally? Does India's Israel tilt mean abandoning the Palestinians? How does the bonhomie with Israel affect ties with the Gulf and other countries in West Asia? Is simply joint concerns over rising terror shaping a new world order? These are some of the questions that I will pose, even as I can tell you the Prime Minister, as we speak, is at the Holocaust Museum in Tel Aviv at the moment. Joining me now, KC Singh, former diplomat, Abhishek M Singhvi, Member of Parliament and National Spokesperson Congress, Hardeep Puri, Member BJP and former diplomat who looks after its Foreign Affairs cell, Chengappa, Group Editorial Director, Publishing at India Today, here with me in the studios. Let's take that question straight to you, Mr. Puri. Do you believe that this is a de-hyphenating of that relationship? Is that what the Prime Minister is doing by deciding to go to Israel and not going to Ramallah as perhaps in the past an Indian minister might have done? Is this Narendra Modi making it clear that he wants an independent relationship with Israel, independent of the relationship with the Palestinians?
Rajdeep, I'm a member of the BJP, but I do not look after its Foreign Affairs cell. So anything I say will be in my personal capacity. Yes, this is de-hyphenation. Yes, this is de-hyphenation. It's been a long time in coming, and I personally believe that it is entirely possible to remain committed to the Palestinian cause such that there is, and have full diplomatic relations with Israel. That's something we organized 25 years ago. I'm personally disappointed it has taken so long for us to come out of the closet completely. And I think that the unprecedented welcome and the history which is being made just as we speak will vindicate the fact that what we got right 25 years ago. Look, it's very simple. India needs to pursue a balanced policy. And I'm afraid that previous policy that we were pursuing, in the name of balance, we were voting against Israel. I'm not saying that we should vote in favor of Israel on all occasions, but we should take positions on merit. And we should take positions on merit as they suit the Indian national interest. I am very worried about the way things were evolving, and we would blindly being put in one camp. We need Israeli help. We need Israeli technology. We need all the help we can get in the counter-terrorist effort. And I'm thrilled to find that our demand for armed drones has finally succeeded. You know, we put in a request for unarmed drones with the Americans in the Obama administration. They were refused. This time when the Prime Minister went to Washington, he was able to get unarmed drones. But the latest contract that we signed in 2015, when these armed drones are available to us, I think there will be an appreciable change in the kind of situation that we can find ourselves in. And if judiciously used, I think this will be a boost to our counter-terrorist effort. So I'm personally delighted. This is a process Casey and I began 25 years ago, and it should have come through much earlier, but I'm glad it's come through now.
But what you're saying effectively is that there is a pro-Israel tilt. Am I that effectively it's not just about dehyphenation, but there is an active pro-Israel tilt? You are saying that India must look at its strategic policies not by blindly supporting the Palestinian cause as we did in the past, but in the process, you're also saying that India's interests in a way lie with Israel. We have far more, you seem to believe, in convergence with the Israelis than we might have with the Palestinians.
No, I'm sorry, that is not an inference I would draw. I would go to the extent of saying that it is entirely possible to maintain our commitment for the Palestinian cause without diluting it in any way, and having a vigorous relationship with Israel, which has been going on for some time. And I think the Palestinians are quite relaxed about it. I haven't heard any objection. Israel is now making common cause with many Arab countries in the situation as it is unfolding in West Asia. Why should India not take advantage of the traditional ties we've had with the Israelis? We had inhibitions. We have been cooperating with them. They've come to our assistance at different points of time. And I think it required a Prime Minister like Mr. Modi to go there and shed that inhibition. So if that looks like a tilt to you, I'm quite happy about it. As far as I'm concerned as a professional diplomat, what is most important is that we will be able to realize the full potential of this very important relationship, and I would leave it at that.
The only person then who seems to be quibbling about it, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, is the Congress party. On a day when many believe a slice of history has been created, why doesn't the Congress party say it was our Prime Minister Narasimha Rao who opened the doors to Israel, rather than today quibbling about the fact that why is the Prime Minister only focusing on Israel and not going to Ramallah and not going to the Palestinian territories? Is the Congress again slightly behind times, given the fact that there is a reality out there wherein Israel and India now have a very strong relationship?
Rajdeep, there are two facets which arise here, and I want to address each of them. One is your frequent use of three words, a tilt, abandoning the Palestinians, and the so-called Congress quibble. And the other is a perception as if the great dawn of a great era in Indo-Israel relations has happened just now or just 3 years ago. Let me address the second one first, and I'll be very quick. You have yourself rightly noted 1992, who established diplomatic relations? Narasimha Rao, Congress government. But what is more interesting is that a remarkable trajectory of Indo-Israel relations have been grown, cemented. So the mere visit by a Prime Minister, which at one level is a head of the government, should not obliterate a very, very strong trajectory of various multifaceted cooperations. And I just remind you very quickly that we have had the Chief of Army Staff coming here of Israel. in the UPA time. We've had the Chief of Indian Army Staff going in March 2014. We have jacked up trade from a few million to 5 billion as late as far away as 2013. We have a biospace agreement.
So basically, you don't want to give Mr. Modi credit.
Agreement on
so therefore,
aerospace.
the basic Congress objection is Mr. Modi cannot take credit today for creating history.
1 second, Rajdeep. Simplistic interventions don't help. Rajdeep, over simplistic one-liners will not help. I am just stabilizing the equation with the kind of hullabaloo I am seeing, as if the dawn of the dawn of the era of Indo-Israel relations is now. Everything has happened actually, and incidentally, as recently as 2016.
But none of your prime ministers went to Israel.
During Mr. Modi's time,
none
India
of your prime ministers went to Israel. The fact is, none of your prime ministers went to Israel.
Yes,
Mr. Modi is the first prime minister to go to Israel. Give him credit for that.
But right. Therefore, that's the whole point. Therefore, if we are going to be in an era of superficiality, that foreign ministers went, we jacked up the trade, we had agriculture cooperation agreements, science agreements and arms agreements, and all the arms deals you see happened during our times and are now being culminated. That is to be obliterated by the visit of a prime minister, then well, you are right. If you go on form and not substance, you are right.
Okay.
The second point is, I would hate to see India, and I hope that's not true, to use the word which you use, tilt or abandon of Israel. Why should there be a pro-Israel tilt?
Okay.
Why can't you have good, strong relations with Israel, as the UPA Congress has built over years and decades from 92, along with very solid support for the Palestinian cause?
Okay, you made your point, and Mr. Modi will say that he's done both. The president of Palestine was here last month. Dr. Singhvi, let me move on.
It remains the Oslo.
Let me move on. You made your point. Let's listen into KC Singh. KC Singh, as Hardeep Puri said, he believes that this is, in a sense, a defining moment. According to Abhishek M Singhvi, this is something that has been built over the last 25 years. It's not as if there's a new dawn which has broken. Prime Minister Narendra Modi can't take sole credit for, in a sense, breaking the ice with Israel. Your views, do you believe today is a truly historic moment?
Rajdeep, it's a culmination of a process. Don't forget that the Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon came to India in 2003. Vajpayee hosted him. So prime ministers have gone up and down. Yes, our prime minister didn't go, but we had a president go earlier. Their presidents have come multiple times. But there was this last hesitation where I think for domestic reasons, although it is true that the defense minister in UPA 2 was very reluctant to interact with the Israeli defense minister and probably caused some damage thereof. But that was a defense minister level decision. Overall, I think there was a reluctance that crept in during UPA 2 regarding what impact it will have on the Muslim vote here, or what impact will it have on... Certainly, what else? I mean, why would Mr. Antony refuse to literally receive his Israeli counterpart? Now, that was not necessarily the view of the government, the entire government. But, that is where the problem lay. But then you can't go overboard the other side. What is wrong with Mr. Modi's approach is that it's not an Islamic issue, it's not a Muslim issue. Netanyahu is a serial offender by building settlements, even defying Obama. Obama was literally not on talking terms with him. So it's not only India. So there's a human rights issue. There's an issue of not paying attention in occupied territories to international opinion.
Yes.
Going in a reverse direction. He's representing a fringe view in Israel. That's not the entire view in Israel. He's a right of center leader. He might have run his full course.
Yes.
There was an opinion some months ago that he might be overthrown. So their public opinion may change in Israel. So therefore, fundamentals, it's important to remain true to fundamentals. If you don't want to completely go in the Israeli, you don't want to go into the Netanyahu corner. You can go into the Israeli corner. But in that, you must keep a little distance from him on settlements, on the way he is completely ignoring international opinion.
Should Raj Chengappa, the Prime Minister there, be raising the issue of settlements in Palestine, or is this now a relationship which is based on mutual interests that go beyond Palestine? It goes on perhaps shared concerns over terror, perhaps the fact that both countries now have a strong defense relationship. 41% of Israel's arms export between 2012 and 2016 came to India. The fact that on areas like agriculture, irrigation, a strong relationship, that we've now got to see this as a multi-pronged relationship that is independent of Palestine. Is that possible?
You know, I think before he left, Prime Minister Modi made India's stand on Palestine quite clear. He hasn't changed the fundamental approach that we have into the two-nation commitment that we have. And as K.C. Singh had been pointing out, and also Hardeep ji, that there has been a maturing of this relationship. He very wisely, apart from what he mentioned, that President Mahmoud Abbas of Palestine Authority came here and visited India. He's also been to West Asia, Saudi Arabia, he's been to UAE. He's ensured that that constituent, let's not forget 7 million Indians live in that part of the world, West Asian part of the world, well, Muslim dominated. So I think he's kept the balance on that front. I think it's also very wise to maintain, if you recall, in March, Prime Minister Netanyahu went to China, and there he talked of a marriage in heaven. Today he used soaring words of, you know,
sky is the limit, or space is the limit.
And China, in fact, had a very nuanced Palestinian policy, which they exercised there. And Prime Minister Netanyahu actually talked of being a junior partner to China and has very close, or wants to have very close relations with China. So this is real politics. This is pragmatism. I think India and Mr. Modi has been very pragmatic in developing and furthering the relationship with Israel in that sense. And today, of course, we should not deny Mr. Modi's place in history. It's you know, a historic moment for us. But at the same time, I think we need to continue the pragmatism, keep the balance in whatever it is, take what we can get from Israel, whether it's defense, whether it's water, whether it's agriculture, counter-terror. These are very important components, but at the same time maintain our relations with other countries that are important to us as well.
So it's pragmatism which is driving Narendra Modi's foreign policy. Is that the way you would put it, Hardeep, Puri, that this is pragmatism? At the end of the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has seen perhaps the benefits of this stronger relationship with Israel of the kind that he voiced. This is driven by pragmatism, less by morality. That in the 60s and 70s, in the Nehru-Indira period, foreign policy was driven by a sense of a moral cause, call it non-alignment, call it strong support for apartheid in against apartheid in South Africa, or for the Palestinian cause. Now it's about pragmatism. India's business is business, and we have to do business with Israel. Israel is our partner in the war against terror, particularly in our region.
Rajdeep, pragmatism, but a little more. Pragmatism developed into a fine art. This is pragmatism to pursue our interest without it in any way deviating from the fundamentals of policy. I think the Prime Minister made clear before his departure from here that our commitment to the Palestinian cause remains completely undiluted. Secondly, on Casey's point about settlements, look, I was on the Security Council when 14 countries said that those settlements were illegal. Now that you have good relations with the State of Israel and full diplomatic relations we had in 1992, we cannot change our position. These settlements will remain illegal or illegitimate, as the Americans call them. But that does not prevent us from doing business with the Israelis and utilizing that relationship, working that relationship to its full potential. Now, I know that there will be allegations on human rights, there will be other issues, but I think we need to sit down with all our partners and discuss those. Now, President Trump is trying to mediate between the Palestinians and the Israelis. When I last met the Palestinian representative to the UN in New York, I asked him, how is it going? He said, the optics are very good. We've been invited to the dinner table, but we haven't seen the food yet. But when the food comes, India can always step in and be a force supporting a resolution, force supporting forces for peace all over the world. And I think with Mr. Modi, you have seen Indian foreign policy shed its reticence, shed its conceptual confusion, and pursue pragmatic approaches. And I think this is pragmatism to a fine art.
Pragmatism to a fine art. Of course, Netanyahu's own image, both in Israel and beyond, is questionable when it comes to dealing with the Palestinian question. But a quick response, Abhishek M Singhvi, this is pragmatism. As I said, the era of the Nehru, Indira, Gandhi brand of morality driving foreign policy is over. This is now a new age. Do you accept that, Dr. Singhvi, or not? It's just that Mr. Modi is not worried about vote bank politics. The Congress was. You were worried about your Muslim vote. And frankly, there was no connection between Palestine and the Muslim vote, to be very honest.
Well, 3 or 4 things, Rajdeep. First of all, there is no necessary antagonism between pragmatism, which must be the cornerstone of Indian foreign policy. Pragmatism must be the cornerstone of foreign policy, but with a basis of roots in morality. There is no antagonism between the two. Secondly, I suppose it was our concern about vote banks that led us to have diplomatic relations, the highest arms interaction, trade to 5 billion, visits by Chief of Army Staffs and by senior ministers, including Foreign Minister. I don't think that at all is consistent.
You did it with stealth.
The point is very simple.
You did it by stealth.
If
Mr. Modi is doing a warm, open embrace.
And there is complete
Would Manmohan
balance
Singh have embraced an Israeli Prime Minister?
Then there is no reason. Very good, no problem. But I don't understand, if Manmohan Singh has not embraced an Israeli Prime Minister, India has embraced Israel for the last 15 years very strongly. What is the problem? How can you completely go overboard saying that because Prime Ministers have embraced, there is no relationship between India and Israel? I am saying it's a very good thing if in fact Mr. Modi maintains the balance. Where is the quibbling? Who wishes him unwell on his visit? It's very good. But the point is, there should be no latent, quiet, surreptitious shifts in policy, tilts, imbalance, biases, the words you used. Abandon is a very strong word you used. Why should there be? There is no necessary antagonism or antithesis between a very consistent Palestinian policy which we have followed for 70 years, which is there on the Oslo Accord, and an equally good strong policy with Israel which we started and cemented for 15 years. Mr. Modi has only come 3 years ago.
Can I just get
all the cementing of India-Israel relationship happened before 2014.
KC Singh,
so I don't see any necessary antagonism, of course.
KC Singh, do you see a qualitative difference in what we've seen today? The Prime Minister of Israel coming to the tarmac, welcoming Narendra Modi. Only leaders that he's done this before are the Pope and the US President Donald Trump. Did you see a qualitative difference? Is there a meeting of minds between Netanyahu and Modi, who in many ways are very similar persons?
No, that's true. That's true. It's a special gesture, but Israel's always treated India specially. Because they see it as a democratic counterpoint to a whole sea of autocratic rulers, Islamists, all kind of motley crowd to their east, and then they see it ending up with India, which is a stabilizing force in Asia. They've seen that. But on many of these issues, the counter question to be asked is, what is it which we'll get from Israel today, which we could not have got without Mr. Modi going there? Now, if that is answered in the affirmative, that they've given us something which they wouldn't have given otherwise, then of course the thing will be there. I have a suspicion that for optics is tremendous. It sends a signal. We need to rebalance Israel's relationship with China, because that was pointed out earlier, because many technologies are seeping to China from Israel.
Right.
I think that needs to be balanced. You don't want too close a link up between China and Israel, but they will play all sides. They will play all sides, and they'll humor us, they will do all that, but they are critical for certain technologies, but one way their role has diminished. They were more critical when technologies were denied to us by US, but now that the technology restriction regime has been opened up, to that extent Israel's relevance gets diminished.
Do you believe,
so you can go and buy from the main chap.
Do you believe, Raj Chengappa, that therefore what we are seeing is a more nuanced Indian foreign policy? That this is an example of that. The fact is, the Palestinian president comes here a month ago, is welcomed by the Indian Prime Minister. Now openly, the Indian Prime Minister goes to Israel without having to go to the Palestinian territories. Is this a sign of a coming of age? That in a sense, over the years, domestic and foreign policy concerns have changed. It's not just about Mr. Modi. It's about how foreign policy has evolved over 25 years.
I agree. I think it's happened at the right time. And if you reverse what KC Singh Saab was saying, no one really asked many questions as to why an Indian Prime Minister was visiting Israel for the first time, whatever it is. I mean, no one was saying he shouldn't be going. There was that consensus. The other thing I think we need to keep in mind is that it opens options out to be open like this. Let's not forget that President Trump and Israel, there's a connection that we need to strengthen when we are doing in terms of our relations with the US. That's a very important component. Even while dealing with West Asia, the Arabs and everything else, I think the Arabs took us for granted for too long. You know, our moralizing posture, they just presumed that we would give them unstinting support and whatever it is. By developing very strong relations with Israel over this period of time, it gives India the options in a whole range of things. While I think it's very important to maintain the caution, keep the balance, understand, even as we have one of the most serious confrontations with China developing on our borders, Israel is also developing relationships. So that pragmatism should always envelop in whatever actions we take on foreign policy.
Let's leave it there. I think we've heard the word pragmatism about half a dozen times in the course of this 20-minute discussion, and that perhaps reflects the kind of politics and policies that Narendra Modi intends to pursue when it comes to foreign policy. Gentlemen, always good to have four articulate voices joining us. The Prime Minister has in his own way created a slice of history, yet another first. I want to tell you, he's the first Prime Minister to travel last month to Portugal, the first Prime Minister to travel to the Netherlands. In the past, he's been the first Prime Minister to go to Switzerland. Narendra Modi likes to notch up first. At the same time, I would like you, the viewers, to remember someone called P.V. Narasimha Rao, often ignored in the foreign policy outreach of India. It's Mr. Rao who, in a sense, broke the ice with the United States, and it's the same Mr. Rao who really broke the ice with Israel. I wonder why the Congress doesn't take more credit for Narasimha Rao's foreign policy. Is that because his surname is not a Gandhi? That discussion for another day at another time. But coming up next, we'll go live to Jerusalem, where our correspondent Padmaja Joshi will join us, and we'll be going to the head of Chabad House in Mumbai. Remember 26/11, that was attacked, and remember the story of a little boy called Moshe. Back in a moment with more. Padmaja Joshi is in Jerusalem, where, remember, the Prime Minister at the moment in Tel Aviv. He will be on his way to Jerusalem, we are told, tomorrow. Padmaja is already there. Padmaja, give us a sense of what you're seeing around. The fact that the Prime Minister has been welcomed at the tarmac, that impressive ceremony that took place. Is there a sense that India is the flavor of the month there in Israel at the moment?
Oh, most definitely, Rajdeep. In fact, the kind of turnout that we saw for the welcome that the Prime Minister got, even just the body language, that full-throated laughter, where, you had Benjamin Netanyahu saying, "Mere achhe dost." Both of them smiled, they hugged as soon as the Prime Minister got off from Air India One. But we have the leader of the Indian community over here with us at the King David Hotel. First of all, are you looking forward to meeting the Prime Minister, maybe exchanging a few words with him?
Yes, we are going to meet him, especially some leaders of the Indian Jewish community, and we publish here My Boli quarterly in Marathi, so we are going to take his interview for our magazine.
Why Marathi?
We came from Marathi. There is 80% of Jews who came from India, they came from Maharashtra. The history says that all Jews went 3,000 years back to India. They went to Maharashtra coast and they lived there, and they know Marathi well from Bombay. So we are Marathi speakers, many people, so we take quarterly in Marathi.
But tell me something, do you miss India?
Yes, definitely. Because we came here not as people who got hatred in that country. We got love, and we have friends, and families also remain there. Nobody. Some people, they came from Europe and other countries. They came because of the hatred, the Germany, they killed even the Jews. And who came here, they came because of, in Russia and other countries, they had all the problems. But we came with love. But we came to India not as a conqueror to India, either the make business like the English people came. We came because of we lost our country in war. And we ran away from here, not live with the enemy rule, and that's why we ran away from here.
So what do you want from the Prime Minister?
And now we want we want a cultural center, because not only us, the other Israelis also. There is 25,000 Israeli every year visit India. And our children, when they finish 3 years army, the boys, and 2 years army, the girls, they go to India. They go Goa, they run here, they go south and north and all the places. They feel at home.
You also like to go to India?
Yeah, every year I go to India to visit my friends and family.
Fabulous. And now a slice of India has come to you. So you're going to be meeting the Prime Minister tomorrow. Good luck with that. We'll be right there, Rajdeep. So you can see it's not just the flavor of the season, but they're hoping that there'll be longer lasting ties. They want a cultural center here. They want a road here named after Mahatma Gandhi. Right. So with all of these demands, they're going to be meeting the Prime Minister, Rajdeep.
And I love that Marathi accent. Please tell the gentleman that he's welcome to have poha whenever he wants in Maharashtra. There's a strong connection between the Jews of Maharashtra who've gone to Israel over the years.
I will get his daily for you as well. I will get his Marathi daily for you, Rajdeep.
Thank you. Please do. It was wonderful to listen to that voice there. Remember, that's not the only connection, and Padmaja will come back to you for more in the days ahead. But that's not the only connection that Mumbai and Maharashtra and India, in a sense, have with the Israelis. Remember, in a special gesture during his 3-day visit, the Prime Minister will also be meeting Moshe Holzberg. That's the Israeli child, remember, who lost his parents in the 2008-26-11 Mumbai terror attack. Moshe is now almost 11. The Prime Minister will meet Moshe's Indian nanny, Sandra Samuels, who managed to escape with him from the Nariman house. Moshe's heart-wrenching picture with his nanny holding him close in many ways defined the horror of 26/11. He was barely 2 years old when his parents, who were serving as emissaries of the Chabad house in Mumbai, were killed by terrorists in that attack. And I want to go now to a special guest. Joining me now is Israel Kolchonovsky. He is at the moment the head of the Chabad house there in Mumbai. Thank you very much, Mr. Kozlovsky, for joining me, Rabbi. I want to ask you your first reactions when you heard that the Indian Prime Minister will meet the 10-year-old Moshe. What was the first thought which came to your mind?
I thought it's very appropriate, but at the same time was honored to hear that the PM is paying this tribute to Moshe. And obviously it's a show of respect to his parents, who have sacrificed their life doing their mission to establish this Jewish center in Mumbai.
Have you or the Jewish center in Mumbai over these years kept track of what young Moshe is up to? He's now 10 years old.
Of course, myself and my family, we are in close touch with his grandparents. And we were recently, about a month and a half ago, visiting Israel, and we traveled to the city of Afula, where he lives with his grandparents, Rabbi and Mrs. Rosenberg. And he's a cute growing boy.
I like that. He's a cute growing boy. As you say, you're in touch with his grandparents. I saw in the newspaper this morning, in the Indian Express, that Moshe likes football, that he's a fan of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Any idea what are Moshe's other likes and dislikes, how he's kept in touch in a way with India and Mumbai?
I don't know what he likes a lot besides Indian food, which I clearly know he likes a lot. But what we would like is to see Moshe growing and coming back to Mumbai, to Nariman House, to the place where tragically he lost his parents physically, but he is together with his parents spiritually. And we hope to see him back here, and the sooner the better. And at the same time, we know it's going to take a little bit of time, and we are patiently waiting for that.
You know, I want to ask you at the end, it's what, 9 years almost now since 26/11. Are you rebuilding Chabad House? Is it completely going to be built? Has it been newly built after 26/11? Any memorial that you're planning now that next year will mark 10 years since those terrible attacks in Mumbai?
So on August 2014, with God's help, we have re-entered the Chabad House, as it's known as Nariman House, and the bottom 3 floors are completely operational now, where we back to host people from all over the world, and Indians from the Jewish community who are traveling through or just coming to study in our library or to read books, etc., and to have Torah lessons or to study or to pray. And besides, we have the top 2 floors, the 4th and the 5th floor, and the terrace, which we have dedicated for a museum project, a memorial project for those who have gave their life on 26/11 in entire Mumbai, not just in the Nariman house, not just in Chabad house. And this is our project that we are working now. We are hoping to complete it by the 10th anniversary of 26/11.
Okay, well, we wish you well with that project, and clearly, of course, today is a day in which those memories are revived. Remember, the Prime Minister will meet Moshe tomorrow at 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Thank you very much, Rabbi, for joining me there from Mumbai. Coming up next in our special focus, as we are doing on India-Israel on this historic day in a way, let's turn to our special focus as we build to this Indo-US, Indo-Israel relationship. Now, while India-Israel ties are undergoing a tectonic shift, we want to tell you about the Ansari family in Jerusalem and its Indian connection. This family has been taking care of an 800-year-old Sufi shrine dedicated to Baba Farid. Achal Arora reports from Jerusalem.
The Indian tricolour waving proudly in the middle of one of the world's most fiercely disputed areas. Just a few meters from the Jerusalem's famous Western Wall, also known as the Wall of Tears, is the Baba Farid Hospice, named after a Sufi saint from Punjab who migrated to Jerusalem nearly 800 years ago. The hospice maintains its Indian identity. Even its caretaker, Nazir Ansari, traces his roots to India. His grandfather came here in 1928 from Saharanpur in UP.
This is the place where Baba Farid, the Sufi saint, visited Jerusalem and stayed. He stayed in this room, meditated for 40 days, and then when he left, this became a visiting place for all Indians who come as a pilgrimage to the Holy Land.
The hospice became a shelter for Indian soldiers deployed in the area by the British. But even before that, the building served as a guest house for Indian pilgrims who visited the holy city to pay respects at the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
For 67, my mom was, attending to the food to the Indian pilgrims who were coming. You were cooking.
How did you cook? What did you make? Indian food?
Yes, I cook Indian food because I've been Indian several times.
However, the stream of Indian visitors slowed down after the 1967 war with Egypt, Jordan and Syria, till former relations were re-established in 1992. Now, with Prime Minister Modi's arrival, the Ansaris are hopeful that the hospice will witness another era of glory. With Achal Arora in Jerusalem, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, since it is a day of dosti, the Israeli Prime Minister called Narendra Modi his dost, friendship day between India and Israel, historic day for some, continuum of foreign policy for others. We leave you with the images of the dosts